everybody, it's Kayla and welcome back to my channel. Hi, how are you? I'm sorry, I have to do that every time. Mama, here. There's Molly. Come on. You go up here? Come here. For the viewers. Come here. Ooh. No, not on my leg. Come, look, there's a gap in the chair. Look, right there. There you go. Oh. There's Molly. My princess. Okay, so today we are going to talk about how I found out I had stage 4B Hodgkin's lymphoma. Yeah, it's not pleasant, not gonna lie. So, ow, Molly. Oh my God, your nails are like daggers. Honey bunches. Okay, get down. Get down. Go on, Molly, get down. Ooh, oh, are you okay? She like flopped. You can probably hear the TV running in the other room because Mike is making barbecue food because we are having company tonight and having like a little cookout. Mike is my stepdad. But I'm just gonna try to film this real quick because why not? Anyways, so yeah, you can. These are my scars from my surgeries. It sounds more dramatic than it actually was. But anyways, I keep getting sidetracked. So I went to Moorhead for my first semester. It's a campus in Kentucky, kind of like a country area. There's not really anything down there except for the campus and like one tiny little coffee bookshop called the Fuzzy Duck. And I started having... Apparently my stepbrother is here. We're gonna film this later. Food's ready. I'm back again, finished my dinner, so hopefully no more distractions or walking off. Apologize if you can see all the dog and cat hair on my shirt. I have 3 dogs here, and I just gave my cat a brushing, so Ivy's at my dad's right now, so she's not here. She is a little stressed out because we just moved houses, so I don't want to disrupt her new routine and make her come over here to my mom's this weekend, or week, but maybe next time I'll bring her with me. Anyways, so back, it was like 2 years ago now, I had just started my first semester at Moorhead. It's a tiny little country campus. Like I said earlier, it's all it has is like a little bookstore or cafe combination, like a McDonald's, and that's it. Like literally, there's nothing down there at all. And I started having really severe pain right here. It was in my left, kind of like lower back side combination. And I thought it was like a bladder infection, but it like spread to my kidneys. Like that's what I thought it was. Because when I went to the clinic on campus, that's what they told me they thought it might be. Even though my urine didn't really show like a lot of like increased white count, just a little bit, because I guess that's what they check for in your urine for UTIs. And so they gave me some antibiotics and stuff, and I was still in really severe pain. I couldn't even put my hair up because I would literally feel like I was gonna vomit because the pain got so bad. And from there, my mom called my family doctor, and I drove the like hour and 45 minutes back home because that's I lived in Kentucky already, so it wasn't like ridiculously far. And I went to my family doctor, and he like felt around and blah blah blah, and he said my urine looked good and everything. And then he told me, well, it's probably like a pulled muscle, so he gave me some muscle relaxers and like some pain stuff. And then it went away after a few days, and I continued on, and then it happened again that same semester. And then after that, I wasn't feeling good, and I missed home, I missed my dogs, I missed my cat, and I decided to transfer to EKU, which is where in my hometown. And I went to the doctor again, and they were like, kidney infection. And then I carried on, did my science classes, hung out with my friends, tried to do the best I could, and then every few months, this severe pain, like piercing pain, it felt like it radiated, would come back. And I'd go to the doctor, they'd say kidney infection. They'd say pulled muscle, they'd say kidney infection. I think I went, God, who knows how many times. I think I went like 8 separate times. And finally, my family doctor, because I saw him again, he's not my family doctor anymore, but I went back to him, and because sometimes I went to like a few other doctors at the same doctor's office place. And he said, you have a pulled muscle, and you're just being a baby and not giving it time to heal. And I wanted to cry because the pain was so bad I couldn't take it. It kept coming back, and no one was figuring out what was wrong with me. Like, literally no one. They just kept giving me muscle relaxers or antibiotics, and it was solving the problem temporarily but not fixing it. And then someone just tells me that I'm being a baby. So I go home, ready to cry and blah blah blah, and carry on like normal. The pain kind of goes away or subsides a little bit for a while, and then it comes back, and I'm in the living room trying to watch a movie with my stepmom and my stepsister, and I couldn't even concentrate on the movie because the pain was so bad. I kept sitting in the chair like this and moving and just trying to get comfy, and finally my stepmom was like, I'm calling the doctor, I'm going to insist something's wrong, and then they need to check you out more thoroughly. So I got this nice female doctor this time, and she is like, we're going to actually do tests. We're going to take your blood work this time instead of just checking your pee all the time, because that's dumb. And then we're going to do a CT scan. And I went and got some blood work done, and my blood work looked normal. That's kind of funny is because I'm afraid of needles. And this is like only the second time I ever had my blood taken in my life. And I just went pale like a ghost. And they're like, do you want juice or something? Are you okay? And I was like, I'm fine. I was supposed to get the CT scan that day, and then there was a mix-up at the front desk, and they sent me home and told me that my scan was going to be on Monday. Well, it was that night, because it was a Friday, it was that night, the pain got so bad, I was crying, and I couldn't sit down, I couldn't lay down, I couldn't walk around, like everything hurt, and nothing would relieve the pain. It was so bad, I was just writhing in pain, like clutching it, and crying and rocking, and it was the worst pain I've ever felt in my life. And my mom was like, okay, well, we'll go to the emergency room in the morning. So I basically just cried and suffered for like the next 8 hours until the emergency room opened, and then we went in, and they got me back into a room pretty fast. But then when we were in the room, I sat in a chair and I waited for like 2 hours or something like that, 2 or 3. And the whole time I was just rocking in pain. And at that point, I wasn't really having any other symptoms except for like fatigue. Like I was tired all the time. But I thought that's just kind of the person I was. I'm the type of person that sleeps till 2 in the afternoon and stays up till like 4 in the morning. So I thought that was pretty normal, but it's not anything much of it. And finally, they come back there and they stick in like an IV in, and they gave me some morphine because I was in so much pain couldn't even think. And that made the pain subside to like a dual pain so I could stand it. And I answered all their questions and stuff, and then they were like, we're going to do a CT scan. So my CT scan happened on that Saturday, and I went back into the room. They wheeled me there in a wheelchair. That was my first time ever riding in a wheelchair, which was really embarrassing kind of, because it's like my legs still worked. You know, I could walk myself, but they're like very insistent that like patients don't walk places normally. So I sat in my wheelchair and like looked up at everybody and wheeled down the hallway to this room with this big old machine. And you have to lay in the CT scan, put your arms above your head, and hold still. It's like a 15-minute scan. And it just kind of moves you back and through scans. But before it starts, they give you like a medicine through your IV line that it makes you feel like you're peeing yourself. Like you literally think, oh my God, I'm peeing on the table right now, and like, oh, this is so embarrassing. But you're not. You're not actually peeing. You're fine. And so I get my scan done, and then wheel me back to my room. I get back in my bed. Oh, I can feel my didn't I? And, my brain. I have a hard time thinking for long periods of time now. Chemo brain. And then this old man doctor who was so nice, and he literally, if you ask me, he's the person that saved my life because he's the one that found my cancer. He comes in and he goes, "You have a lymph node swollen the size of a tennis ball right there where that pain was. And your spleen is like super enlarged and swollen. So it's probably, it was pressing on like my other organs and stuff. So like all that pressure right here and stuff, that's where all the pain was." And then he says all your lymph nodes throughout your abdomen and stuff are swollen, like huge. They're all swollen. He said there's two most common reasons for this. He said mono or lymphoma. I didn't really know what lymphoma was. I knew what mono was, and I thought lymphoma was kind of like a cancer, but I wasn't sure. And my mom's eyes welled up with tears, and my stepdad had this like look in his face, and I looked at her and I was like, "What's lymphoma?" And she said, "Cancer." And I don't know. I guess I went into denial mode because I was like, "Oh, I have mono. I have mono." And I was like looking at this nurse. It was this guy, and he apparently had mono before. And he said, "Yeah, I got mono from a drinking fountain, like a water fountain." I just said drinking fountain. We don't say drinking fountain here. We say water fountain. Cool. And I was like, yeah, that must be where I got it. I must have got it from like a water fountain or something, because I don't eat after people or drink after them. I don't have a boyfriend right now, so I ain't been kissing nobody. But I was like, so I got mono from a water fountain. That was me. And then they take some blood. They go take the mono test, and he comes back and he says the mono test was negative. Okay, well, that was scary. So now I'm sitting there like, oh my God, I might have cancer. Am I gonna die? And then I was like, no, it's probably something else. It's probably some weird thing people haven't heard of. Still in denial. And my stepdad, he's like, "I'll be right back." He steps in the hallway, he gets out his phone, he calls my dad, explains the situation, and my dad, like, him and my stepmom are like rushing over from like, they were like 30, 45 minutes away, in a different city, because my mom lives in Lexington, and they live in Richmond and work in different places. And it's like I'm rushing over, and then it's funny because my mom and my dad and stuff, they don't talk, and they haven't talked in a long time. And so there's mom and my stepdad right here, and my dad and my stepmom right here. And it's like the first time I've seen them all in a room together besides at my brother's wedding. And I was like, and it was a tiny, tiny room, and I was like, oh, this is awkward. But it turned out to be fine. Everybody got along really well, and it went fine. I mean, I guess when your daughter might have cancer, it's kind of like a unifying thing, you know? Like, it'd be pretty petty if y'all didn't get along at that point. So he was like, the doctor came in, he's like, "You need to contact your family doctor immediately and like talk to them and yeah, get a plan worked out, I guess, to like test it and stuff." So my stepmom calls again, and this time we get a new doctor, and I won't say anybody's names because I don't want to like spread people's names. I don't know if you're allowed to do that, but it was a nice woman, and I'd never seen her before, and I went in, and she felt here and stuff, and she was like, "Your lymph nodes in your neck are huge." And I was like, "They are? I've never noticed that." And I'm like feeling my neck like, oh my God, what do you mean? And she was like, "Okay, my husband actually specializes at UK Hospital in lymphoma and leukemia and stuff, so I'm going to contact him, because normally the wait would be like a few months, like 2 or 3 months sometimes to get checked, which is really freaking considering if you have cancer, like that's serious, but the wait times can be ridiculous for things." And she gets me in within like a week, like it was literally only a week, and I go see him. He was like, "Don't freak out, we don't know what it is yet." He said it could very well be cancer, but we don't know yet. And he's like looking at your CT scan and stuff. Like, well, they did a new CT scan because they had to have their own, I guess. And he was like, looking at that, I'd say if you did have it, you'd have like stage 3. And I was like, oh my God, that sounds bad. It only goes up to stage 4, doesn't it? And he was like, he said, so we're going to schedule a PET scan and see if it lights up like hot and stuff, that means it's active and it's probably cancer. If it doesn't, then it's probably something else, like a virus or some funky bacteria thing or something. So I was like, okay, so I have some funky virus, right? That's what you're telling me. Okay, I can deal with that. And my dad's at home, like, on Google researching and stuff. He's an eye doctor, so he knows about, like, medical terms and stuff like that, but he's obviously not, like, an oncologist or, like, a family doctor, so it's different. And he's on Google, like, maybe you have a gallbladder stone. Maybe you have this. Maybe you have that. And I'm like, he's like, but it's not cancer. And I was like, yeah, it's not cancer. Right. That's what we agreed on. It's not cancer. And so then I get my PET scan, and for PET scans, it's like this building that's like separate from the actual building, because like it's like, I guess, I don't know, I guess radiation or something. It just can't be in the actual building. So you go out and you get on this ramp, and it raises you up. You go in this room, and they inject this medicine in your IV, and they have to take like your blood sugar and stuff. And it's really weird because you have to have the lights off, and you have to sit in a dark room for like an hour by yourself, because you're not allowed to look at your phone or anything, because like the light and stuff like messes up the interaction with the medicine. It's really weird. And so then after that, I went in the room, took off anything metal, and put on like what they gave me, like a gown if I needed it or whatever. And I went in the machine. The PET scan's a little different. It's like pulls you out, pulls you through, you're like going back and forth in that one, and it's longer than the CT scan. I think it's like 30 minutes. I don't know, something like that. Can't remember. You'd think I'd remember, but it was a lot of stuff going on. And then I went home after that, and I waited. It was like 3 days or something, and the doctor who had seen me at UK calls me up, and he's like, you have, he said, based on your PET scan, it lit up, so you have more than likely have cancer. He said, and looking at the PET scan, I'm going to declare you stage 4. And at that point, I started having night sweats and stuff like that, which means I was presenting B symptoms. So I was stage 4B, which is like the worst it gets. He was like, it was in my neck, my chest, it was all through my abdomen, and like it was in my lower vertebrae and some of my hip bone. When it gets in the bone, they normally have to do radiation because it's really hard to get it out of the bone. So it was like, eat up with it, I guess. And they're like, okay, the next step is to do a biopsy and make sure that's what it is. Because, there's non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, and there's Hodgkin's, and then there's different types of Hodgkin's, and blah, blah, blah. So that's where this bad boy came from. They originally told me they were going to have to do, like, a more invasive surgery and get it out of here, where that pain was, because the ones on my neck weren't big enough. Well, my surgery was, like, a week or two later, something like that. And in that time frame, my lymph nodes in my neck swelled up to, like, the size of a golf ball. Like, it literally grew within days. Huge. I don't know what happened. It's like my Hodgkin's lymphoma literally blew up like crazy right when I was getting diagnosed. I don't know. Or maybe I was just noticing it for the first time. But they... oh, shoot. I've skipped a step. Before they said they were going to cut this out, they took a needle and they stuck it in the lymph node to get a sample out, and they did the needle 6 times. They told me they were only going to do 4. They don't go more than 4, they said. We don't never go more than 4. And then son of a gun, they come back in, and they take 2 more, so it was 6. I had a needle stuck in my neck 6 times. And what's terrifying is because you're like this, with a needle in your neck, and they're trying to talk to you and make you answer questions, and I'm like, if I talk to you and move, will I get, like, pierced in a weird way and die? Oh. That's what you're thinking. At least me, I was. 'Cause I'm scared of needles. And so, then they said that looked like lymphoma. there's all these steps that they take before they do the biopsy because they don't like to do surgeries, I guess, where they're like, looks like lymphoma. Well, this also looks like lymphoma. Yeah, that looks like lymphoma. Okay, let's finally take one of them out and see if it's lymphoma. It's ridiculous how many steps there are, but I guess it makes sense to avoid unnecessary procedures. And then they go in and they cut it out, and it was originally up here, and then I guess without the lymph node, it went down to here when my lymph node shrunk. It was the weirdest thing. I don't know. And so after that, he told my family that when he pulled it out, he said it was like a gooey string. He said they don't normally look like that. They're normally, like a lymph node. But this thing he said it just kept coming, and eventually he just snipped it and then put what was left back in and stitched it up. And I was like, you put it back in? I feel like you should have just taken the whole thing out. But I guess it just kept coming, so I don't know. Like a magician with those little ribbon things. And he was like, this doesn't look like lymphoma. I've never seen lymphoma that looks like this before. Maybe it's not lymphoma. I was like, hallelujah, I got some weird virus that they're going to give me special antibiotics for. You don't realize how long denial can last until you're really trying hard to deny something. And then the original doctor calls me back again, like a few days after that, and he's like, it's stage 4 Hodgkin's lymphoma. He's like, but don't worry. He said, it's very curable. In fact, I'd say it's always curable. He's like, so you're going to be okay. And I was like, you sure? Okay. And at this point, I still was kind of in shock, so I was like not processing. And then I hung up, and then my stepmom was like, I have questions. Call him back. And then I gave the number, and then she called and asked him all these questions. And then he called me back, and he's like, so what I'm getting is you're really stressed out about this, and you're like really concerned. I just want to make sure you're okay and calm you down. It was really sweet of him to like call me and think of me and stuff and like try to calm me down. But I was fine. I was like, no, my family's freaking out. Of course, I eventually did freak out, just not. Well, I don't know. I guess I never really freaked out majorly. I was just kind of like shocked the whole time. And then somewhere along my shock turned into, well, I'm not going to die. I'm going to survive. There's no chance in the world I could die. I had this mindset the whole time that I would not die. It was not possible for me to die. No, nothing can kill me. Most people, I guess, would be like, well, I'm dying. But no, for some reason my denial turned into myself believing I was immortal against cancer somehow, which I survived. So I guess I was right. Not immortal, but I did survive, so go me. And so after that, they were like, I went to the doctor's office again at UK and saw the same doctor, and he was like, your life's going to be forever changed by this, even though it's more than likely curable. He was like, you're going to be a cancer survivor forever. And now I understand what that means, because this is an experience that will probably never completely leave me. I think it's changed how I see the world, my perspective, how I live my life, the kind of person I am. So I understand that now, but at the time I didn't. At the time I was like, if it's highly curable and stuff, then I'll be fine, and it's nothing to worry about, right? And I thought I could keep doing school, and I just come in for chemo every 2 or 3 weeks for a few hours, and then I leave and be able to keep taking organic and genetics and all that, and I would just be able to keep doing school. And then they told me there's an experimental treatment in the pediatrics that they're doing. He said, if you were my daughter, I would want you to try to do this experimental treatment, because the pediatrics unit is way better, way nicer and stuff to stay in, and the people treat you better and stuff. And he said, and the experimental treatments had really great results in little kids, and it's not had good results in adults, but there's no research for that in between, the young adult teenage. There's no research on that. So they were trying to find out about it. I was actually the first person I think I was the patient 0 or wherever at UK to get it. I was the first person there for that, because they just got in the trial to take it. And they put my name in a 50-50 generator, and either way I was immediately transferred to pediatrics from adult. But if I didn't get it, I would be treated with regular chemo, and if I did, I would be treated with the experimental. And I got the experimental, and I didn't realize how like often I've been in the hospital. But with my chemo, I guess it was more potent than the other one because you don't have to do it as long. So I came in every 3 weeks, and I stayed for 3 days in the hospital. I got 4 bags one day, 3 bags the next, and then 1 bag on the 3rd day. And then I'd go home after that. I think the first day I had to stay 4 days because it was like monitoring and stuff. And then they gave me my Neulasta shot, which I'll explain what a Neulasta shot is later, on the 4th day. And then every time after that was 3 days. But I had to stay in sometimes for a week at a time because of I'd get so sick or dehydrated or blood counts would be so low, stuff like that. So I was in the hospital a lot. But I had to take medical leave from school because obviously if I was staying in the hospital 3 days a week and every 3 weeks and coming in at least like 2 times a week for count checks and during weekdays and was getting sick all the time and staying in the hospital, I couldn't keep up with genetics where there was no textbook and no PowerPoints or anything. The only thing was notes that you take in class to study off of, and organic chemistry where they had an attendance policy and they had all kinds of like quizzes and blah blah blah, and statistics where they had quizzes in the mornings and all that. It just didn't work. I just couldn't time management, and so I took medical leave, and I'm really glad I did now because I did not know I was going to get so sick. I was so sick I couldn't even move some days, and there's no way I would have been able to do school. It just wouldn't have worked. And that was really hard decision to make, really hard, because to me, school was like what determines your entire future, and it was really important. So I was really upset about having to stop, but looking back now, it was the right decision. So yeah, well, I'll tell you other stuff later, like symptoms and hospital stays and all that jazz. But this is a story about how I found out I had stage 4B Hodgkin's lymphoma. Yeah. So, I don't know how, other people found out. I think most people, they said that they noticed their lymph nodes were really swollen in their neck and stuff, or night sweats and everything. But mine started with severe pain, so I'm sure other people's experiences are different than mine, and there's maybe some that are like mine. But yeah, that's my story, and thank you so much for watching. If whatever you want to hear next, comment below, and I'll try to make a video about it. Bye-bye.